And we're back, and no more welcomes. Stop.
I didn't say it.
It's over.
I didn't say it.
Good. So, guys, earlier this week, Nintendo announced their E3 plans for 2014. So, for context for folks, Mega 64, which is a really cool sort of internet web video company, I guess I want to call them, because they make great stuff. They've done stuff for Konami.
They're a video game comedy group.
Yeah.
I think they're fantastic.
GDC, they've done amazing stuff. They've also done stuff with Nintendo before, but they basically made a video for Nintendo that announced Nintendo's E3 2014 plans, turning Reggie into the Fiza mech, which I think is absolutely brilliant, because Reggie's looked like the Terminator for years. So about time it's been acknowledged. And really good on those guys for making it fun and entertaining, both Nintendo and Mega 64.
Yeah, I thought it was great to just show that the people working at Nintendo have a lot of fun in their office. Like, that was just a cool kind of, like, I don't know, I think it's helping to sort of shed that, like, they're out of touch and they're crazy and they don't listen to anybody. And I don't know how walking around shooting lasers shows that they're in touch or not crazy. Or
it was a little weirder than normal, actually.
But I love that.
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I thought they were poking fun of them at themselves, and just it was great. The only other thing I was worried about is that guy who's trying to give everybody water is creeping me out. I hope he doesn't ever visit.
How dare he's been here? He's been in IGN's offices. I can't
watch
wait
out
to
for
talk
that
to him
guy,
again and bring it up.
Yeah. No, it's just a funny character to have a guy that walks around the office being like, everyone has to drink their water.
It's really good.
It was really good. It was a really good video. The Mega 64 guys are fantastic, and I thought it was like a really nice surprise.
So the big three things that came out of this video. First, there is a Super Smash Brothers Invitational happening at the Nokia Theater in LA during E3. 16 highly skilled Super Smash Brothers players will be invited. They're going to have thousands of fans in attendance in the audience to watch.
Oh, God, this is awesome.
This is going to be really
like the
cool.
Wizard.
Well, the Smash Brothers community, especially that section of the fighting game community, has been there through thick and thin, through Melee. Last year at EVO was a big deal, right? The return of Melee to EVO, and there was a really great tournament that came out of that, and really good stuff. You should check out last year's results. It was amazing. But more importantly, I do hope that Nintendo is willing to then extend, a hand to some of these guys and have them on. Like, I can't wait to find out who are the 16 players in this tournament. Are you going to see, and we mentioned this in that video, but guys like Ken, who are making a comeback. They're former Melee champions during the MLG days, and he's making a comeback in that scene. Guys like Korean DJ, who are also doing the same thing. There's a really great couple of other fighters, Mewtwo King, Armada, Hugs86, SFAT. Like, those guys are so dedicated to, like, playing this game and making it look good. And then you have commentators. Winton Smith, who goes on by the alias Producto. He's Progducto. He's one of my favorite commentators in that space because he contextualizes everything in ways that you don't have to be a Smash Brothers expert to follow.
Yeah, I mean, the nice
it's so
thing,
much fun to watch.
Smash is, spectating and esports can be really daunting when the games are complicated.
It is.
You don't know what it's about. Smash Brothers is a game, you watch it for 1 minute, you know exactly what goes on, right? Like, you really understand it. But it's also so, like, fast-paced and fun. It's really a joy to watch. The only challenge it has is that, when you talk to fighting game experts, it's always like, well, it's not a fighting game. It's kind of like more of a Twitch action game, and it kind of gets this, almost like disparaging view sometimes from some folks in the pro player community. I think this is smart to show how good you can get at this game and how technical and fast and demanding this game is. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great move, and this is a good year for it too. This is right on the heels of last year. There was a great documentary series from East Point Pictures about the Smash Brothers community and the scene, and I think it was 8 players were profiled in it, and it was fantastic. It was really well done. Nintendo did not have anything to do with it, but it didn't matter. It was all about that community. So I really hope that this continues, this momentum continues to grow, and this was the right idea to put out there, right? A Smash Invitational. Totally cool. There's also another cooperation with Best Buy where people are going to be able to play Smash Brothers at Best Buy stores. That's going to get crazy, dude. I heard last year it was kind of a hassle, but it's a great idea on paper because where are they going to pre-order the game? Best Buy. Yep. Right? You're getting them in the store. So it seems like a really smart move for the most part.
Now, do we know which version people will be playing?
No, we don't know. No, I don't think it's been called out yet. Oh, wait. No, it is. The opportunity to get their hands on Smash Brothers for Wii U.
Wow.
The Wii U version will be at Best Buys, select Best Buys around the world.
It's going to be interesting because they don't have experience with that game yet, so it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I said The Wizard, because it's just like a bunch of experts playing games that aren't out yet.
Well, and I wonder at the Invitational how many people are going to be paying attention to possible exploits and strats and whatnot from Nintendo. Like, is anyone from Nintendo's team going to be there watching and going,
that would be smart.
We should fix that. We should fix that because these guys are playing it, and we should fix that.
Yeah.
All right,
but they have testers who do that all day long, and I assume they're pretty good players too.
Oh, no, for sure, yeah. Okay, so then the big deal, the Nintendo Digital event, right? It's not at the Nintendo Direct this year. Apparently, it is a way for them to build on that approach from last year with a new kind of video program that will reveal and provide further detail about gaming experiences on the way for Nintendo platforms in 2014. So we're not getting a stage show. We've talked about this before. I was someone who really wanted that, so I'm a little disappointed, but at the same time, I'm really optimistic as to what's going to come out of this. And everything is on this video. Whatever this Nintendo Digital event is, if it has the right sort of announcements and it says the right things to people, everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone's going to be tweeting about it.
It's a good thing for consumers, right? We and some other outlets run live streams for the entire duration of the show, right? We bring in a variety of game developers, interview them, do gameplay demos, and this is kind of Nintendo's version of that, right? Like, they were on our show last year, and they seem to really enjoy that, and so, they're creating something very much like it for their own properties. That's great for consumers, right? Lots of choice of what to watch online. You can probably see a ton of gameplay footage of Nintendo games that, previously was kind of a little bit harder to chase down, right? But at the same time, it still doesn't fix that, creating excitement in the development and the games in development community in the games industry for Nintendo, right? Because that is really all takes place in the homes of the users, right? So it doesn't fix that. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a cost-cutting effort, right?
It's not. They rent the Nokia Theater. They rented it last year, and they used it for meeting space. This year, they're renting it for the Smash Brothers Invitational, so it's not a cost reduction measure at all.
Yeah. So, it's, I think for people watching at home, it is 100% great news, right? Like, more content to watch online for the duration of the show whenever you want to see it.
Yeah.
It's just...
So
we'll see if the announcements will be as impactful as they would have been on a big stage with, 1,000 people watching.
Yeah, that goes either way sometimes. Sometimes there's here's our new Zelda game, and it's crazy cheers, and it's other times it's like, here's 5 people playing Wii music, and it like, buries them because it's so embarrassing. But I'm not like. I think that it's sort of an antiquated business model, the whole like stage show thing.
Sure.
And this is not just the gaming industry. You see this with like Apple, and you see this with tech, and all these other big tentpole events happen where they're like, here's our CEO, he's going to get on stage, and the mic's going to cut out, and it's going to break, or the TV's going to stop working, or the prompter's not going to read, and he's going to have to vamp for a few minutes. Like, I think it's sort of like, I like the way that the Sony and Microsoft last year, that kind of back and forth, that very WWF felt old school wrestling. But I don't think we need it anymore. I'm totally cool with just them giving us what we need to see, getting through the nonsense, and saying, here's our games, and,
I like we talked about this before, right? I like the excitement it generates. Like an event where, it's very much about the communal experience, right? You go and see a movie in the theater with people, like a comedy, with people who love the movie, and it is way funnier than watching it alone at home with your headphones on, right? Like, there's definitely something when you're enjoying content with other people. The problem with the stage presentations is that they got so formulaic, right? Like, it's like you could set your watch to, okay, here comes Nintendo's third-party reel, which is not going to be very exciting, but they feel like they have to do it to make their third-party guys happy, right? And like, the EA conference was always like, all right, 5 seconds until some NFL star or major league player comes on stage and is going to say, I don't know anything about games, man, right? Like, and even it's always like that. And
it's like Kobe Bryant at the Sony conference a few years ago.
Yeah, but he's like, we're making the most realistic game to keep you in the game. And like, thanks, athlete, goodbye.
Yeah.
And there was always like 15 minutes of like, the Nintendo family has sold more than and they're just talking about their sales for like a half an hour, and you're like, I don't care.
But that's an issue with the content of the presentation, not the form, right?
Sure.
Like, you can do something amazing.
You can mix up the content and make something different. I mean, I don't think Nintendo, if you look at even these video presentations, I don't think Nintendo's afraid of switching things up for the sake of, being different. And if anything, they're shaking that so hard that they're completely different now, right? They're not competing the same way those guys do. They present themselves very differently than those guys do. Microsoft, Sony, EA, Ubisoft. Like, Nintendo is way different than them.
And I think the solution they have is perfectly fine. It's cool to have that kind of a digital-only presentation. I love the tournament angle. Like, it at least there's an activation at the show that people can get excited about. I think it's fine. But, I would prefer if there was a giant empty room and Reggie got up on stage and said, and here's Metroid, and here's Zelda, and here's Mario, and then after the reel he goes, tequila for everyone, and drops the mic and walks out. Like, the impact that makes on a crowd is confidence. It's like you get excited about what you're seeing, and you talk to other people there, versus the digital removed experience, which by the way, the gaming industry sees all that stuff a week later. It like does not create that rush of excitement.
But I think Nintendo is betting on instead of the roar of the stadium or the roar of the hall or whatever at the Nokia Theater, they are betting on the roar of Twitter, of Facebook, of everyone sharing, tweeting, and talking about this thing. And that is as loud, or I would dare say, it is 10 times louder than the 200 or 2,000 people they can fit into the Nokia Theater.
Well, I disagree because you're not getting the roar from the influencers as much, right?
Well, like I don't know. I would challenge that.
You're definitely getting a lot of people watching and tweeting about it, but you also get that with the other stage presentation. Like, the one thing doesn't exclude that. You can generate.
I agree. I completely agree with you.
It's cheaper, it's more controllable, and ultimately, I think for consumers, it's better to give them more spread out over multiple days rather than this one event.
Yeah. So, sure. Yeah. I do think you minimize the awkwardness that ensues in a lot of those events. Like, you have a guy who gets on stage and he just kind of mumbles for 10 minutes or makes terrible jokes, which, like, the scripting in these things, and all these companies hire professional scriptwriters to help them write their E3 scripts. It's not just Reggie doesn't just sit there and knock out something on his desk. Yeah. They hire people to come in, and then you end up with things like Mr. Caffeine, which basically
terrible.
They could have announced any game in the world, and you're latching on to how terrible the delivery system is for it. And I feel like that muddies it a little bit. Whereas Nintendo has these more concise presentations now that are just like, this is everything, this is what it is. There might be some funny things that come out of it, but
and they also they won't have a Ravi drums happen again because that'll never happen again.
That'll never happen again. And I mean, it's weird, but I actually think that I'm happy that they're even doing this, because they could easily do what many other major companies do, which is just take their ball and go home, or never bring their ball to begin with. I mean, Mojang, right? They don't show up.
Right.
Blizzard,
Rockstar.
They don't show up. Rockstar, they don't show up. None of these guys go to E3. They don't do press conferences. They don't do stage
Mojang's the anomaly.
shows.
Blizzard, I don't know. I feel like all those companies are the anomaly, though.
You can't have three anomalies.
Yes, you can.
But
there's a lot of companies in this industry. Yes, you can.
You used to get more press conferences. Like EA and Ubi are kind of like the holdovers, right? Like there were so many press conferences before.
Do you remember the Konami one?
The Konami Activision.
When does that even happen now?
All those.
It doesn't.
They did a pre-recorded. Dropped off year after year.
They did a pre-recorded thing in 2011, Konami, and then I don't think they did one ever again. And there was that disastrous.
They did a pre-conference.
Yeah, they did a disastrous one
a few years before that. I remember that. Yeah. So I really feel like this is just like Sony and Microsoft's thing now. They're the last two that are really holding it up. EA has a couple of little things. Ubisoft's press conferences, or it's always like, here's Pele and here's a water gun that never came out.
They had a good press conference last year. Like Ubisoft. Like, I remember, wasn't last year the one where we all walked out and said, wow, Ubisoft has the best games?
Maybe.
Right?
I mean, Ubisoft, they put out a lot of really good games in the last year, so that wouldn't surprise me. But
I mean, that company is pretty amazing when it comes to just kind of coming up with, like, just introducing a concept of a game and then making sure that they develop it all the way through, right? Like delaying Watch Dogs and all that kind of stuff.
And they're not afraid of a new console cycle or a new IP in a console cycle. You had Assassin's Creed, you got Watch Dogs come in, like they take bets.
So I think for them though, like a show like that is a good way to just tell people again their mission, right? Like the UB Art Project stuff, you know, Child of Light is of course the outcome of that, just to tell people how they feel about games. Now, do they have to do it in a 2-hour conference? No, right? There are more concise ways of doing it, but it does create excitement, I think, in the audience to have like this appointment, you know, where you sit down, see all the people. Again, I think there's so many ways to show the world what you've got cooking, and nobody's doing it wrong right now. I think there are different solutions. I'm looking forward to seeing how Nintendo pulls it off.
And I hope the tech holds up, and I hope the stream doesn't have interruptions, because last year that was a problem that threw a lot of people off. They couldn't watch the first 10 or 15 minutes of the Nintendo Direct. You know, they had problems.
Which was pre-taped. So, I mean...
Yeah, but that's more like server overload or whatnot, or being you know, kind of underestimating how many people were going to check that out. So, you know, whatever. Last thing, just to tie into this point, or what we were just talking about, Nintendo Treehouse also has Live at E3, where they're going to have constant live streams throughout E3. They haven't really said how long.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. I mean, for me, it sounds like it's the entire show. Like it's exactly what we do every year.
Hour of the show. I think it's going to be here and there.
You sure?
That's what I'm betting
I think
on.
they're going to have a stage with a bunch of Treehouse guys and just keep on talking.
But that would mean Nintendo has to have enough content to fill 3 days of E3, and I don't know if there are enough unannounced and announced games for that.
No, you're right.
That's why I'm concerned.
Maybe they'll play some Game Boy Advance VC titles or something. I don't know. We'll see.
That would not go over well.
If you tasked us to do 3 days of live streams for Nintendo content, I think we could pull it off pretty easily. New games only, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah,
right?
And that's that's more why I think they'll be sort of in and out check-ins through Treehouse.
Okay.